Hello and welcome, everyone. It's so exciting to be here today. Before we begin, I would like to pay my respects to the traditional owners of the land that I live and work on, the Mamu people of North Queensland, and I'd like to pay my respects to traditional owners and elders past and present right across Australia and the Torres Strait. Well, today is a very exciting day for us here at Women Changing the World Press. We are launching the book of our very first standalone author, Natashia Telfer's book, Project Kind. So for those of you who haven't met me before, my name is Peace Mitchell and I'm co-founder of Osmompreneur, the Women's Business School, Women Changing the World Investments and Women Changing the World Press. And today we're so excited to be launching Project Kind. And I'd love to invite you to join me in welcoming Natashia to the stage. Hi, Natashia.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
It's so exciting to have you here today and to be launching this beautiful book. So I'd love to begin by asking you to introduce yourself and tell us a bit about who you are and what you do for those who haven't met you before.
Yep. So as you said, my name's Natashia. I co-founded National Community Care with my business bestie, and we provide complex clinical care for our most vulnerable within our community. So we work quite closely with our ACT Health Government and NDIS. I also have another project, Sierra, which is an IT kind of format that supports what we do with our community care organisation. And we've most recently started up our complete clinical training solutions to support some of that training that we've found lacking in our community team again. So all these little kind of piggyback companies to support our main goal to help people.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's amazing. It's incredible the work that you do in supporting the community with their health. So I'd love to talk about Project Kind. What was it that called you to write this story?
I've always been a journaler and a note taker and post-its and whatnot. And a lot of the book I actually already had written as I experienced some of these things. So a lot of it was actually as fresh as the memories could get when I was writing it, because there were words that I had written at the time. So when it actually came to putting it together, I found it quite easy because I had most of it kind of there. It was just puzzle piecing it together. But I really found I go to so many, I'm a self-help junkie. I love going to all these seminars and seeing these amazing humans talk, whether it's, Lisa Wilkinson, Julia Gillard, I've seen Kate Hudson, and I just absorb everything that they have to offer and to give, and I love it. And I walk away feeling so inspired, all those fuzzy feelings that we're supposed to feel. But then there's still that little inner critic that goes, yeah, but there is somebody. So I really wanted to put together my story from a nobody to kind of just share with everybody and say, it doesn't matter what it is that you went through, because so often we go, oh yeah, but they nearly died, I didn't, or they had this, I didn't. So easy to compare. But within my story, there's that many far-fetched things that have happened or I've experienced that it just kind of, I wanted to share with everybody that you can be a nobody and still come out okay.
Your story is quite incredible. You talk about resilience at the start of the book, and there's so many challenges that you've overcome. Can you talk us through, how you have become resilient and how you were able to overcome so many things?
Yeah, I feel like honestly, I feel like I was never given a choice. There was either manage it and do the best I can to put one foot in front of the other, or I think I'd still be in a hole somewhere. And that's not me. I didn't want to do that. And I suppose some of the ways I dealt with those things probably weren't the most healthiest ways. I put a lot of things on the back burner and eventually they do catch up. But that was just doing what I could do to help myself. So often that was putting other people first. And then, when COVID lockdown happened, I had a lot of time to myself and a lot of self-reflection. I actually realized, wait a minute, I've done some pretty cool things, and I've gotten myself this far all on my own. My own 2 feet got me here, and we all should stop and recognise and celebrate those moments. So, yeah, I think resilience isn't something that you think you're being at the time. It's only upon reflection you go, heck yeah, I was resilient. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I know that that voice of the inner critic is something that you've had to deal with and overcome throughout your journey as well. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, so I've been acutely aware of this inner critic. It's always that, that voice that tells you you can't, you shouldn't, you're not smart enough, pretty enough, they're not going to call you back, you shouldn't go for that job, you shouldn't ask for that promotion, whatever it is. We've all got it, and I've had mine all my life, and really stopping and realizing that my inner critic was running my life, was running the show, even through the first few years of running my businesses. That inner critic was keeping me kind of in a cage, and it does come from safety and self-preservation, but it's also limiting. So just being able to do a few things like change your mindset, or being acutely aware, or giving this voice a name. And in the book and in the previous masterclass I've done with Osmompreneur, I labeled her Nancy. Mine's Negative Nancy. And when you really can separate that, you can see what she's doing and what effects that she actually has on your life. And when I did that, I found that's when I had my calling to, I need to write this book. I need to share that with people.
Yeah, it's so powerful. And I think that shift in understanding and recognizing that voice, it's not your own voice, it's the voice of the inner critic. Becoming
Absolutely.
aware of that is the first step in overcoming that, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And really just opening your mind to realizing just because you think it doesn't mean it's a fact, it's a feeling.
Yeah.
And that's all they have. That the inner critic is not educated. In fact, they're making some really terrible informed ideas and decisions around your life, and you're allowing it. So I feel like that was probably one of the biggest challenges we all face.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, in the book, you also talk about sliding door moments, and you've had a number of sliding door moments, and some of them very negative, I guess, and others very positive. Can you talk to us about some of those sliding door moments and
Yeah.
how that felt?
Yeah, I absolutely love the analogy sliding doors. So like that movie, Sliding Doors, just that serendipitous occasion or moment or situation that you're faced with. It's literally like being at a fork in a road and having 2 paths that you could choose to take, and either path that you take is just going to create an entirely different world for you. And when you take it, you can't undo it. You can't turn back and go, well, wait, I want to go this way now. This going into business is one of them for anybody that's gone into business. Once you take that plunge, sometimes you get the hunger for it. Sometimes you realize it's not for you, but it's done. Same with having children. It's another great one. You can't go putting them back, but it really shifts everything. And I've really found, upon reflection, all my sliding door moments have just been absolutely pivotal to get me to where I am.
Yeah, absolutely. And, in the book, you talk about one of those sliding door moments is when you met your business partner, Lisa. Can you tell us about Lisa?
Yeah. So Lisa inherited me basically when she brought the businesses off her mum and dad so they could retire. So I was part of that collateral damage. So she inherited me, and I continued to work with her. And I was at school studying still. My background is community and sport coordination and whatnot. And she knew that one day I'd go and put my big girl pants on and go and get that job, the permanent job. But I just really liked the flexibility that her company offered. And she tapped me on the shoulder and invited me out for dinner one night. She said she wanted to have a chat, and I'm pretty intuitive, so I thought that she'd want me to do something for her within her business, like some kind of upgrade, I suppose. And she offered me to go to start up National Community Care. She wanted to do it with me side by side. And of course, Negative Nancy kicks in. Why? Well, what have I got to offer? Why me? She could do this with anybody. And honestly, we've been in business for coming up to 8 years now. I probably spent 5 of those still not feeling worthy. Obviously, still ticking things over and whatnot. She's now my best friend, my soul sister. And now I can finally see what it was that she saw in me, I suppose. Our business is still running with looking after people and whatnot. But yeah, she was probably the biggest sliding door of my life, that I wouldn't have had the company that I have now. I have no doubt I'd still be in the industry, but yeah, my life would look very different.
Yeah, so it would have taken a lot of courage, I guess, at the time to make that decision and say yes to that, particularly when that voice of the inner critic was saying, you're not worthy and this is too much and it's too risky. Was it a courageous act, do you think, taking the leap into business?
I guess in some ways I was very lucky, and this is why I'm a massive advocate for what it is that you guys are doing with your new launch, Women Changing the World Investments. I was going through IVF with my husband, and I just thought, I don't have a cent to my name. How am I going to buy into a business? But she believed in me so strongly that they her and her husband backed the company financially. I mean, our startup literally was just uniforms and insurances. Everything else was me on that little hamster wheel, writing policies, creating the shifts. Yes, hello, I can book this service. Yes, hello, I'm HR, to get it to work. So, having that stress removed meant that, okay, cool, well, now I can prove myself. This is why I deserve to be here. And, I may have spent 5 years feeling I had to do that. Obviously, from the beginning, and I just, she was been my security blanket, my safety net. She was the business guru, so I had that support and this constant mentor the entire way. So it's very blessed in that sense.
Yeah, that's amazing. So I guess it was courage, but it was also quite a bit of hard work. And, in the book, you talk about the importance of self-care and balance. Can you talk us through that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's so easy to I'm very much shiny object syndrome. So the next project, once I just get this done, then I'll relax. And I found that really hard, particularly coming off, the floor, being, a nurse and a carer, to office, running the show. When you're on the floor in a nursing home or a hospital system, you have a beginning, a middle, and an end of your shift. And then when you put on the business hat, you've still got 1,000 emails there that you can answer, but there's only going to be 1,000 more tomorrow. And learning to kind of close down the computer, shut down the laptop, turn off. I know right now it's a big thing to turn off notifications on your phone. It's whatever works for you. And I suppose the beauty of it is, although it's a 24/7 commitment, I still can pick up my kids and drop them off at school. If my daughter says, I've got this presentation, I can be there. I might need to field a phone call, but I can be there. So I've been able to really create my business around me and keeping that balance. And that was something that was really important to me. Balance, I think, is at the top of my list for everything with my self-care. If I don't have balance, then that's my self-care out the window.
Yeah, absolutely. And what does self-care look like for you?
For me, I know so many people go, that's not self-care. Sometimes it's just going to the toilet without children, or having your cup of coffee still while it's hot. But no, honestly, sometimes self-care for me is just being able to, of an evening, it doesn't matter how long a day my day has been. I could have flown in home and it could be 3 o'clock in the morning. I just need to sit on the lounge with a hot cup of tea and just watch something mindless that has nothing to do with my life or anybody in my life, and watch something mindless, even if it's Netflix or the news is too depressing. So it's just something, lighthearted, just switch off. So then I can go to bed and know that my mind isn't running a million miles an hour because I've had that quiet moment. And I do that religiously every night without fail. It doesn't matter. My eyes could be hanging out of my head. I need to do that so I can wake up ready to go the next morning, and I can just turn off because I know I've done that.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And it is so important to just be able to switch off from work and take a moment to have that downtime.
Absolutely.
Every day. Now, connection is another thing that's really important to you. Can you tell us about connection?
Connection, just, I think it's human nature. I get so mushy about this. I love people, and I love when I find like-minded people. So, I'm part of so many groups, CBR Women, Canberra Women in Business, Osmompreneur, Business Chicks, the whole lot, because I just love being able to be put in a room. We're all so busy these days, and when your own business is on top of that, it's impossible. You find that your oldest friends are friends that you've had from uni or from school because you've just held on to them for dear life. And it's hard to make those connections these days. So to have these connections put on a platter for you and have a room full of women that you already know are like-minded, want the same things in life, are on the similar paths. Like some of my bestest of friends love me to bits, I love them to bits, but they still just don't understand that concept of what it is running a business. And of course they don't, they've got their own things going on, but just some of that, sometimes it's just nice to have a conversation that just with somebody that just gets it, or gets your why, and these groups just put that together, and the connections, they just put you on the right path. They're uplifting for your well-being, and I just feel like that's the biggest self-care you can give to yourself, is wrapping yourself in a blanket within a circle of women that want to support you and elevate you. It's just amazing.
Oh, I love that so much. And yeah, it's so true. It's something I'm so passionate about as well. Connection and having people who support you around you, and knowing that people have got your back no matter what.
Yeah.
I think that's really important. Yeah. So another thing that you talk about in your book, which I am also passionate about, is purpose. Can you tell us about your purpose and why you are so passionate about the work that you do?
Yeah. So my purpose, 6-year-old me, my purpose was to become a school teacher. That was my goal. And then a good dose of cancer took that away and made me really question my life. But I had really amazing care. I was very fortunate, and I was 19. I still feel like I was such a child. I had to grow up pretty quickly, and I just knew I wanted to do something meaningful. I felt I was so close to death that it really made me reflect, and I just thought, geez, I really haven't done anything meaningful with my life. And it pivoted the trajectory of my life. So 10 days after my last chemo treatment, I went and enrolled myself in studies within aged care and disability sector, and that became my purpose. I just wanted to be able to give back, to provide people that are in need with amazing quality care as well. I've been fortunate enough to do that. And along that way, I really found that purpose isn't one thing. I thought my purpose was very primitive, to, become a primary school teacher, get married, have kids, reproduce, the end. Good dose of cancer took that all away from me. So I really questioned my entire existence. What am I if I cannot have children? I know these days women can be anything and everything that they want, and I'm 100% for that. But for me, I'd never imagined a life without children. So it was a really hard knock. So I just threw myself into wanting to help other people. So yeah, I really found that purpose can be more than one thing, and it can shift and it can change, but it is that driving force, as that supports your why. Why do you want to do what you do, or why are you doing what you're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. And you went through cancer at 19, and then you'd always wanted to be a mother and have your children, but you also then were unable to have kids and had to go through IVF. Can you tell us a bit about that journey?
Yeah. So from the age of 19, I was diagnosed on a Friday, and I was put straight into chemo first thing Monday. So while fertility was an option, it was dependent on my grading of cancer. My grading wasn't very great, so that I didn't have time. I had the weekend to basically get my shit in a pile and to commence chemo that Monday. So children was basically removed. It was off the table. So the age of 19, though, I kind of thought, meh, too young for kids anyway. That's not on my radar. It's not a thought. Until obviously you meet Mr. Right, then all of a sudden you go, oh, maybe I do want kids now. And again, negative Nancy saying, well, you can't give him children. Why is he going to want to stay with you? All those types of things. So went in down the road of IVF, and I feel I've these days, I think every second person has fertility issues and it goes down the path of IVF. So for me, I had the mindset very clear that we had parameters that we'd try to this stage. If we didn't get this far, then we'd stop here. We didn't want to invest, the best part of our life, late 20s, early 30s, chasing something when we had everything else we could possibly dream of in life. So we're very realistic about that, and set some really realistic expectations of ourselves. And it wasn't until we were in our 6th year, I got double booked again, one of those weird sliding door moments, and they'd sent me from my Sydney clinic to Wollongong to have my eggs extracted. And lo and behold, I'd walked into this clinic and this doctor had just started there, and he looked at my file and just thought, you've been doing the same thing over and over and miscarrying every single time. This is literally the definition of insanity. So he stopped everything for us, did further testing, and I found out it actually wasn't me. The fertility issues weren't mine. While I have a lower egg reserve and whatnot due to chemo, it actually wasn't me, and the fertility concerns were my husband's. But the serendipitous thing of all of that was this doctor that we'd actually walked into, he was the one that did this study on this particular fertility issue 5 years ago when we had just started IVF. So 5 years ago, if they'd diagnosed us, we would have been told, your chapter's over, no kids, you're looking at adoption or sperm donor. But he'd done this study, funnily enough, on black bears and about why they're becoming endangered and extinct, and had the cure for us. So sent us home to do some homework, so to speak. And next round of IVF, bam, had one egg. So again, negative Nancy kicked in. There's only one. It's not going to work. That's the lowest egg count we've ever had. But as they say, it takes one, and she's as stubborn as anything. So I can see exactly why she's stuck in there.
Oh, that's an incredible story. And he studied on black bears?
Yeah.
That's amazing. And, it feels like a miracle. It must have felt like a miracle at the time.
Yeah,
to,
absolutely.
find that doctor and to get that news that he had a different idea for what might work for you.
Absolutely. I was 29, so it was my last round. We'd agreed 30 was my cutoff. And yeah, last round, and she was it. So we held while we did all those testing and whatnot, and yeah, here she is. So her name's Cadence, and that's a musical term for like a melody or rhythm. And hearing her heartbeat for us was very mushy, but was the stage that we never got to. We'd always miscarry the week that the heartbeat was supposed to start. So that was music to our ears, and hence her name. Yeah.
Yeah, that's just so beautiful, so beautiful. And you also have a son.
Yes. So 2 years later, we thought, well, we know what's going on now. Maybe we should try our luck again. I was always one and done. I was so grateful just to have one. There's plenty of people out there that can't. But, wait a minute, there's no reason why we can't now. So went back, tried again, first go, got my son. Thought, okay, see how we go with this one. And he came out just as fair-skinned, and he has green eyes. My daughter has blue eyes. Go figure. I don't know where any of the Islander gene is. My husband tells me when they open their mouths, that's when it comes out. But yes, very, very, very blessed.
Oh, that's just so beautiful, so beautiful. And Natasha, you've created a really successful business now. Can you tell us about how you define success? What is success for you?
Success for me is, I guess, my goal with the business is to provide amazing quality care and have access to care for them within my business, and we're doing that successfully. I've got clients that are receiving care that would otherwise still be stuck in hospital, or be otherwise, being cared for by their loved ones, also causing strain on their relationships, or carer fatigue, all those types of things. So that is a good measure of success for me. Also, just the balance, again, coming back to that balance, being able to provide employment for my staff across all three of our companies. Mine and Lisa's are the two companies. We've got 150 employees, and that was even through COVID, obviously being essential workers. So all of those, it's never necessarily monetary value. It's just the give back. What we do is allowed us to obviously give back to our communities, to causes that are important to us and within our community and healthcare sector. And again, one of the biggest successes is being able to just pick my kids up from school. So yeah, the mushy things around success, I suppose, are what count for me.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Now, your book is available to purchase now, Project Kind, and today is our Amazon launch. So we would love everybody who's watching live to jump onto Amazon and grab a copy of Project Kind. And where else can they order a copy, Natasha?
So I do also have it available on my website, projectkind.com.au. At the moment, because of the Amazon launch, though, I have linked that back to Amazon, so it will direct you there as well. But if that's easier to find, then there. And I've flooded my socials galore with links and whatnot as well.
Beautiful. Well, it's been just such a joy chatting with you today, and congratulations once again on the launch of this incredible book. And I hope that everybody goes out and grabs a copy, because it is a wonderful read and such an incredible and inspiring story. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. And thank you for believing in me and publishing.
Oh, it's been our absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure. All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Natasha. It's been wonderful chatting with you, and we will see you all again soon. Bye, everyone.
Bye.